today's interview, I want to remind you of an important lesson from last week's interview with New Jersey injury and DWI lawyer Peter Michael. If you remember, to attract video views and social followers, you need to concisely explain legal topics that people actually care about. What do you do after an auto accident is really not one of them. Peter's first viral videos were on how to beat a speeding ticket and what to say when pulled over by the police, right? So the list of legal video topics generating high interest, it's too long to discuss here, but I can email you a 2-page list that we've compiled, contains 38 topics with examples. If you plug your email into the chat right now, or you can just email me directly at kpryor@jamespublishing.com. I can send that over to you. So turning to today's session, my interview is with an employment lawyer who has only been promoting his firm on social media for 2 years, but has amassed a huge following on 3 platforms using a simple video creation formula. What's your problem? What does the law say about your problem? What can you do about your problem? Let's get started. Welcome back to the Grow with Caro show. Today we continue our interview series with successful attorney marketers. We're taking a close look at what's working, what's not working so well, the specific steps these attorneys took to get to where they are. And remember, these are simple steps that you too can follow to get on a similar path to growth. Okay, let's get to it like we always do. Today, our special guest is attorney Ryan Stygar. Ryan is the founder and CEO of Centurion Trial Attorneys, a rapidly growing labor and employment law firm based in San Diego. He's a leading voice in his field. He has a massive following on social media as @Attorney Ryan, or the labor lawyer. We're super excited to have him here today. Welcome, Ryan. Thanks for joining us.
Kara, thank you so much for having me. I'm stoked to be here.
Yeah, I've been trying to get you on the show for some time. Our schedules finally cooperated, so I'm excited to dive in.
I am so sorry that took as long as it did. Now, in my defense, I did have an international wedding right when we were trying to plan this, and that took me to Brazil for 2 weeks. And then worst souvenir I ever got on a trip, I got COVID the minute I got home. So it delayed things a bit. But I'm so glad that we stayed persistent and made this happen.
I'm excited. So Ryan, tell us a little bit about your journey as a lawyer to start and why you launched the firm. You were previously a full-time firefighter, right?
My journey was a little bit unusual in that I was a firefighter for about 5 years. It was locally in San Diego. I was with the San Diego County Fire Authority. I was in Valley Center. I was with Cal Fire, and I was just moving up the ranks. And I'd wanted to be a firefighter since I was a little kid. And I really thought that was going to be my career for the rest of my life. All I ever wanted to be was a firefighter. But you know what happened? I tell people there was a seed that got planted in the fire station. You know, when I was working Cal Fire, one of the chiefs pulled me to help with our union contract negotiations. And he just needed someone to help him draft sections of the agreement. And this was during a very difficult time in Cal Fire. This was in the early 2010s. We were coming out of the Great Recession. The department had been not hiring very much in those years. Pay hadn't gone up. So it was a time when firefighters were very demoralized. Our pay was low. Our work conditions were terrible. We were never getting days off. We were working 18 days in a row, going home for 2 days, coming back for another 18. It was brutal. And what I saw, I didn't realize how this was affecting me at the time, but what I saw with my chief when I worked on this union agreement was, holy cow, every word in this agreement has the chance to make life better for me and my brothers and sisters in the department. We're getting our butts kicked out here. And if this union agreement goes the way we want it to go, everyone's going to make more money. We're going to get more time at home. And that was the first time I realized that just understanding the law and being able to negotiate and assert your rights as an employee makes life better for everyone. Because who wants burnt out, exhausted firefighters who aren't happy? When you call 911, you want someone well rested, well paid, ready to go.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
So you saw firsthand the impact that you could potentially have. So then how did you sort of parlay that, and what was that transition like to launching the firm?
Well, it was a tough decision leaving the fire service. It was around my 5th year, and I realized, look, I'm about to promote into an engineer role from a firefighter 2 role. And I thought, listen, I need to make a decision. Am I really going to commit to this or not? And I realized I wasn't happy.
Mhm.
And when I realized that, the job had served its purpose in my life, it was there for a season and that season was coming to an end. I thought, well, what do I really want to do? And I thought, lawyers can really make an impact in ways that firefighters can. It's a little bit different, but you can really make a difference in someone's life depending on the field that you get into. Personal injury lawyers know this all too well. You can save someone's life with the work you do. So anyway, I went to law school and I wanted to start a practice right out of school. I had thought that maybe I'd go, in the district attorney's office, get some trial experience first, but the way things shook out, I found that just through my network, I had a client ready to go. Right when law school ended, someone needed help with a case, and I thought, why don't I just run with this and see what happens? So I started Centurion Trial Attorneys with Mia and one other lawyer who I kind of worked with. He wasn't fully a partner, but he helped me. And we just had one client. And I realized, one client does not a law firm make. We're going to have to get some new people into the office here. And I had no money and I didn't have the resources to do SEO. I'd reached out to people and they were nice enough to offer SEO for like 2,000 or 3,000 a month. I didn't have that, but I had one of these. So to start with, Kara, I just started making Instagram videos. I think I had 1,200 Instagram followers at the time, just friends from law school and things.
Friends.
And I put effort into these videos. I would plan them out. I made these big scripts. I made 5-minute long videos. This was back when IGTV was a thing. I would make these 5-minute videos, comprehensive videos about your rights and all of that. They would get 20 views and a comment from my mom like, good job, honey.
Yeah.
Great. Well, there's 6 hours that I'm not getting back, and I didn't get any clients.
Yeah, sure.
And I tried that a few times, Kara, because I'm like, look, I can't afford an ad in the paper. I can't afford a billboard. I can't afford SEO. This is all I got. I got to make this happen.
Yep.
And
So like
it wasn't
what
really
year is this, Ryan? Like what year is
Oh
this?
God, this was early 2021. Things
Okay.
happen fast
Okay.
in the social
Yep.
media
Yep.
world.
Okay.
And I was
Yep.
like, this isn't really working out. What do I
Yep.
do?
Yep.
And then I had a friend in my ear. His name's Attorney Tom on TikTok and on YouTube. You're nodding. You're familiar. Very great guy. I reached out to him for some advice, and he's like, dude, get on TikTok. It's such an untapped resource. Do it. And I said, well, the video length is really short. I don't know if I can make legally accurate, helpful information in 30 seconds or less. He was like, Ryan, try. I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. So I took those 5-minute IGTV videos I had made, and I just spliced up like 5 or 6 of the juiciest bits, and I threw them on TikTok, let it sit for a week, totally forgot about it. And then one day my IGTV wasn't doing so well. I got bored. I looked on my TikTok, 60,000 views, 40,000 views, 4,000 DMs. Like, it was bananas. It was absolutely, I was not ready for that level of attention. And when I realized that was working, I thought, throw the whole playbook out. We're not doing these 3 or 5-minute videos that no one cares about. We're not typing up blogs that no one reads. We're doing the short format, and we're going to make it work. And for the next, coming up on 3 years, I guess, 2-3 years, we kept hammering away at that concept. The short highlight moment. What is your problem? What's the law say about the problem? What can you do about the problem? That's the basic formula.
Yes.
And we've refined it over time. I still see some of my early videos from 2021 and I cringe a little bit. They're a little embarrassing. But you got to give yourself space to be embarrassing and to make mistakes and to get better with time. So and now we're here. Now we're sitting at 1.7 million on TikTok, over 200K on Instagram, close to 100K on YouTube. We'll talk about that. We've got big plans for the YouTube that I'm excited about. It's absolutely blown up.
It's crazy. You have 22.7 million likes on TikTok. I mean, that's unbelievable. So short format, but I think you actually make a really good point in that, Ryan, that you had to figure out what was going to resonate, right? You didn't know right out of the gate what was going to work and what people would care about, even the format, never mind kind of the topics, right? So tell us a little bit about how you come up, where do you find inspiration for new videos?
Okay, this is a good one. So I am an employment lawyer primarily, and our practice deals with single event employment issues. That would be things like sexual harassment, pregnancy discrimination, hostile work environment, things of that nature. And we also have a PAGA and class action division. And this is where a lot of the wage and hour stuff comes from. People who aren't getting their lunch breaks, they're not getting overtime properly, seating issues, things like that. So we've got two branches in the law firm. Where do my ideas come from? Well, we look at the different causes of action that we're looking for. We say, look, pregnancy discrimination is a big problem. What are things that we wish clients knew before they had to come to us? What are things the clients are telling us about what happened? We can look at prior cases and say, wow, my client qualified for maternity leave under California law, but HR lied to her and said it was company policy, they don't do it. She believed them because there's no one else offering information. They don't teach you this stuff in school. The state doesn't mail you a pamphlet saying, hey, here's your rights. People just need to know this stuff. It's basic stuff. The average non-exempt worker doesn't even know when they're entitled to a lunch break. They've got an idea that they're entitled to it at some point, but they don't know when it's supposed to happen or what happens if they don't get it. So where do the content ideas come from? They come from our experience in cases. And then we still offer comprehensive consults. We don't do intake with intake specialists. We don't contract with an outside firm to do the quick 15-minute yes or no. We do a triage assessment as people come in, but we book them with attorneys. They have appointments with attorneys to actually poke around the facts. And from those interviews, we get another source of what are problems people are experiencing on the front lines out there at work. So whenever we sit down and say, it's time to make some videos, I ask a couple of questions. The first question is, what are working people experiencing right now? What's a question they have that someone needs to answer in plain English? Don't try to impress anybody. Don't throw a bunch of fancy legalese. Just tell them what the law has to say. And if there's anything actionable they can do, besides calling us, if there's anything they can do to mitigate their problem, well, we've just created value. You know, a billboard ad that just says, call us for employment disputes, that doesn't give anyone any value at all.
Right.
But an ad that says, hey, are you having a problem with a bully at work? Here's an email template that you can use to talk to HR. We can't stop people from breaking the law, but here's a great way to start the conversation. And people love it. They're saying, hey, no one teaches you how to navigate these problems. And finally, here's a guy helping me. And he's not just trying to create a case. He's trying to help me not even need a case. Right. And people think about you long term. They don't need you today. They don't need you next year, but you're going to be the first person they go to when there's an issue.
Yeah, good point. And I think just kind of the overarching employment and labor topics are of particular interest to the general population, right? So of course, whether or not they're actively looking for an attorney at that moment, a lot of us can relate to the topics, you know, the everyday topics that you're talking about. I've had many guests on the show who they might be personal injury attorneys, or they might be estate planners, and they post videos about employment law because they're trying to be that helpful kind of, you know, trusted legal advisor, right? And that's how they're really able to kind of gain some of that traction and some of that steam. Tell us specifically, Ryan, about some of your top performing videos. What were the topics that really seemed to resonate?
Okay, this is great. We find the wage and hour stuff does very well, which is good because we do those labor-based class actions. So these are excellent clients for us. I think my most viral video ever, if I'm not mistaken, was me talking about a common policy that employers have, especially big box retailers, where they say you're expected to arrive at work 30 minutes or 15 minutes before your shift. Mm-hmm. And they hit you with all kinds of ideological nonsense. They say it shows dedication, it shows loyalty, professionalism, be ready, but they don't want to pay for that time. Here's the deal. The federal law on this matter is very clear. If you're required to be on site and it's a condition of employment, meaning you will be punished if you don't meet that condition, it's paid time. That's all there is to the discussion. And it makes no difference if you're actively engaged in work or not. Once the employer says, I am seizing control of your time and telling you where you must physically be, it's compensated time. It's a big issue in these big box retailers. I posted that video and it blew up. 13.5 million views. People went crazy over it because it is such a common problem. And the only source of information people have is their boss, who has a conflict of interest. That one did really well. Another topic that usually does quite well is explaining to people that, yes, you have a right to discuss your pay and work conditions at work. A company policy that says you will be fired for doing so is not enforceable. I mean, they can do it, but they're going to get punished for it. Any topic we have that goes against decades of sort of work culture that we've been taught, especially if the law is at odds with that work culture, those do well. Anything that teaches someone something that surprises them is going to get shares. And your shares, honestly, are more important than your likes and your views. A lot of people get into this. I don't know what your other guests have said. They get so obsessed with the follower count. They get obsessed with the likes. They get obsessed with the views. And I'm telling you, ignore that stuff. Look at shares. Because if it's shareable, that means it's valuable. That means you taught someone something, or you made them feel better about a problem that they're having. And I'd rather have 1,000 shares and 10,000 views than 1,000,000 views and only 100 shares. The shares are where it's at. So those issues do well. And then anything pregnancy discrimination does well too, because it's such a rampant problem.
Yep, definitely. So backing up for a second, how many attorneys and support staff does the firm have?
Right now we're at 3.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's 3 attorneys, and then we've got 2 intake specialists, an executive assistant, and 2 paralegals.
Okay. And where are most of your leads coming from? Are most of your leads coming directly through social media?
Pretty much. TikTok and Instagram are pretty much tied for first place. And I think that tells us something if we're looking at where should we devote our time, because my Instagram is much smaller than my TikTok, but produces similar numbers of leads. So both are coming from TikTok, Instagram, a little bit from Twitter. It's not as good as it used to be. And I know everyone's going to get upset about that, because any criticism of Twitter is somehow a criticism of Elon. I'm just telling you what's happening with the algorithm. That's it. Okay. I'm not getting as many leads there as I used to. YouTube does exceptionally well. YouTube is a nuclear missile, but I don't recommend jumping straight into it. It's tough if you don't have a presence somewhere else. YouTube, in my opinion, is that final rung that you should hit once everything else is cooking along nicely. So yeah, almost all of our leads come from there. We get repeat customers, we get referrals, but I'd say 95% of our business comes from social media.
Wow. Yeah, and we'll definitely talk about YouTube because I'm very interested in that. But before we get there, what's lead flow look like? I mean, what's volume look like? How many qualified leads are you getting per week?
I'd have to take another look again. I know that we get at least 150, 160 hits a day. Now, how those break down,
like people reaching out?
Yeah, that's calls to the 888 call Ryan, and that's people clicking on our link on our website. Because what I do is in my bio, I put need legal help, contact me here. You click that link and it brings up our contact form where you fill in your name, your city, state, employer, and a brief description of your problem. And then that goes straight to the intake staff who are screening for people who, maybe we can't help them. They're out of our jurisdiction. It's a practice area that we don't do, or if it looks viable, they move it up to the next level. We also do that with the phone number. We're using Lex Reception right now. But we are transitioning to in-house reception. I think it's going to be nice to do that. So we're in a little bit of a transition phase there, but yeah, that's getting tons of calls. So between all platforms, we're looking at about 150 a day.
Wow.
But those are just hits.
Wow.
I've got to be clear. It's a sales thing, and sales is volume based. If we're getting 150, 160 hits, that distills down to a fraction of that is actual viable leads.
Okay. And could you estimate how many are viable, or how many of those are turning into paying clients?
It's tough because we're in the employment space, and we do get a lot of people who reach out because their manager is using a harsh tone of voice or is giving them attitude, and you can't sue for that, not without some more things going on. So a lot of that goes on. I'd say probably 5 to 10% distills down to, hey, these are viable leads. But even so, if we're looking at 3,000 or 4,000 total hits in a month on some months, you're still looking at a couple hundred viable leads. It's still more than we can handle. I'll tell you this much. My biggest problem as CEO of the firm, generally, apart from making sure that we vigorously advocate for clients, and that just comes down to hiring the right people, it's still figuring out how to handle this fire hose of leads. I've spent the past 2 years trying to figure out the best way to handle, what a good freaking problem to have. My big problem is we get so many interested people who want our help that I'm figuring out how best to process the sheer volume of people, knowing that you have a 5 to 10%, or not, let me reverse that, a 90 to 95% attrition rate once you distill down who's actually a viable candidate.
Right.
uh, for
That's
services. Yeah.
That's pretty incredible. Yeah, I feel like that intake is that's the challenge almost, right? At this point, right? Is kind of
Mhm.
scaling so that you can help as many people as possible. So
Yeah.
obviously Instagram, TikTok, national platforms.
Mhm.
Are you referring, either out of state social leads or out of specialty leads to
Quite a bit, quite a bit. Yeah. That's part of our challenge as well, is trying to build a 50 state referral network of people who we know are going to produce good results. It's not enough just to be, oh, hey, you need someone in Idaho? I'm in Idaho. It's like,
Yep,
yeah, but do you do good work?
yep.
Because we're staking our reputation on the fact that if we refer you to someone, you're going to do a good job for them and you're going to be nice and you're going to, take care of them. So we're still building that network. But yeah, we send out, I want to say maybe 60% of the total volume that comes in gets referred out just because they're not in our state. But what we're doing is we're building relationships with good people. And the first place we look, Kara, is we look at other people who are big in social media. We look at who are creators, because here's something else social media does that a billboard can never do. It gives a sneak preview over you.
Yeah.
What are you like? Are you passionate about the practice area? Are you empathetic? Can I trust you? Are you genuine, or are you reading a script?
Yeah.
Do you appear to know what you're talking about? Do you go live and off the top of your head, can you cite statutes and kind of explain people's rights? These are all little things that build credibility. And
Absolutely.
no billboard can touch that. I've seen the Sweet James billboards. No hate. I'm sure he's great, but it says nothing about his competence. It's just a pretty billboard. But if I were to see the guy every day talking about the law, it builds trust.
Absolutely. The best way, the most efficient, most effective way to distinguish yourself is through video. I mean, that's just, there's no doubt about it. You're building that trust, but you're also giving prospects a little look into what it would be like working with you, working with the firm, right? Why are you specifically the best attorney to handle their
I
unique
call it free
situations?
samples.
Yeah.
It's free samples, and it's kind of cool. I had the distinct privilege and opportunity to be on the Dr. Phil show during one of his last seasons, and that was fun. It was fun because I got to advocate for a position I believed in. I got to take the employee side in the quiet quitting debate, which was a
Ah,
blast. I loved it, and I had an opponent. I had opposition on TV. It was a CEO who felt that quiet quitting was a national security threat and it was ruining America, all the stuff we heard. And it was fun because I thought, this is a chance, sneak preview, to show the client, what is Attorney Ryan going to be like in court? What's it going to be like when he faces opposition and he's standing up for me? So in my mind, I was like, look, go in there and go in hot. Show the clients how you fight for them. Don't just tell them that you fight and they win. Show them. And video gives you that opportunity in a way a billboard never will.
invaluable, invaluable.
Mhm.
What about boosting posts? Is that something you do? Do you invest in?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, boosting is fantastic. And what's cool about boosting is it's much cheaper than SEO, and you get more immediate results, and you don't have to count on some specialist to give you a data spreadsheet that you pretend to understand and hope that they're not screwing you. I like boosting. Here's why I like boosting. You don't go in blind. You only boost posts that are doing well organically on their own. Never force a video to go viral. If people don't share it and it's not going viral, it's because there's something wrong with the video. You can't just say, oh, I'm being shadow banned. You're not that important. I promise you're not being shadow banned. You think you are, but you're probably not. It's just not a good video. Try again. But once you see a video and you see, wow, this got shared 50 times, 60 times, 70 times, YouTube is telling you this is a good video. Consider boosting it. $5, $10 a day, 5 or 6 days, and see what happens. So we started boosting videos in January. Only the winners. We give videos 72, 96 hours, something like that, and see how they do. And if they're doing well organically, we give them a boost.
Nice,
Yeah.
smart, super smart. And so, yeah, those top performers, right? Those top shares, monitor that and put some money. And the budget can be relatively modest, right? For these boosts, you don't
Couple
need.
$100, maybe less. I initially was skeptical, so I did the whole $5 a day, 5 days, see what happens. And then we actually got good results from it. I had periods where, I was busy or traveling, whatever it was, and I wasn't posting videos. So I thought, okay, while I'm not able to post, let's boost some of these reels so that some work is happening while I'm gone. And then I call my intake team and say, hey, how's volume looking? They go, I don't know what happened, Ryan, but we had a spike. We got, 300 calls this weekend. And I was like, all I did was boost the reel. I didn't make anything new.
Nice.
So it appears to be working. I do pay attention when we boost. Are our intake numbers changing? My intake team, we do reports every week, and we're looking at the volume of leads, the quality of the leads, and where they're coming from. We're always paying attention to that data.
Smart, smart. What about posting reels versus stories? What are you primarily posting? Is it a mix?
It's a mix. I'll tell you this much. Anytime you post something, you need to put it in your story, because there's a lot. Instagram is such an interesting place. The average user opens up their Instagram and they hit stories, and then they're going vertical. They're going this way and just saying, what's everyone doing real quick? Who are the people I follow? What are they doing? And if they see a reel or a post that they think is interesting, they'll click it and they'll go to it and get more information. At a bare minimum, you're reminding people that you exist. One thing that I got to caution lawyers about is people are not watching you as closely as you think they are. Even if you're a fairly large creator, people aren't watching that closely. You need to remind people that you exist and what your practice area is. I try to do that every day. Ryan Stygar exists. He's the labor guy. That message alone makes you top of mind for a lot of people. So you should always be putting your posts in stories. Also in stories, it's a chance to show a human element, show people that you're more than just another lawyer. Show them that you're fun, that you're interesting. Show them that you go out and have margaritas sometimes just like they do. Show them that you go to the park and hang out with your dog. Like, let people build a sort of personal connection with you. And stories is a great place to do that.
I noticed something you do a particularly exceptional job with, Ryan, is delivering content from interesting locations, right? So, if you're traveling or, wherever you are, you're shooting a video that, maybe if you talked about the same exact topic sitting behind your desk, it might not be as compelling or perform as well, right?
Yeah. I appreciate that. In fairness, I'm probably behind my desk 9 times out of 10, maybe a little bit less. But yeah, I try to post something every day. And it's nice because if you shake it up a little bit, and if you're like, hey, today I'm in Rio de Janeiro, let's talk about internet reimbursements in California. That was a great opportunity to talk about it. It's also nice because, it makes it more interesting to watch your stuff, and it makes your stuff more bingeable. Even if you are not changing and you're covering the same topics, just a little change in background makes it feel like the viewer is going on a little walk with you. They're going on a little journey. The viewer sitting in their office scrolling a video doesn't want to be in an office with you if they can help it. So that stuff is helpful. And it does make a difference. I've noticed that some of those videos where I'm outside on a ranch or if I'm by the beach or something, they tend to do a little bit better. And I don't know if it's because my mental state is better because I'm out of the office or if it's because of the background, but they do better.
Yeah, that's a good little hack. I'm interested in your current process. Are you shooting videos in batches ever? Is anyone helping you? Are you doing all of the shooting? Who's posting? Tell us about the process.
It's all me. It's still all me.
Wow.
This is what works. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm going to share some advice that no lawyer listens to, and I wish they would. Too many lawyers go into this and they think, I need to spend $10K a month on a marketing team. I need a videographer. I need a sound guy with a boom mic. I need a sound stage. I need this. I need that. It's like, listen, you're not Warner Bros. Just be a person. Just pull this out and tell people, here's your problem. Here's what the law says about your problem. Here's how to fix your problem. That's all they need. That's all they need. And you're going to get attention, positive attention. Too many lawyers, they try to go full scale, high end production right off the bat. And they focus so much on production quality. They're not paying attention to who am I to this viewer and am I addressing their problems? I wish that more lawyers would spend less time shopping for expensive camera gear and just make 100 videos in a month. Seriously, take a month and say, hey, can I do 3 or 4 a day? And let me make 100 videos and see how they do. That is going to do so much more for you than finding the top rated marketing firm and hiring a bunch of videographers to come into your office. I feel very passionately about this. It's an extraordinary way to waste a lot of money and make videos that get 6,000 views tops.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's been proven that those high production value videos actually tend to perform, not as well as those, authentic, genuine, pull out your phone and talk. How often are you posting, Ryan?
As often as I can. In the beginning days, it was 3 to 4 a day, every day for like 3 months.
Wow.
And that is how I went from 0 to maybe 500,000 on TikTok.
Wow.
And then over time, it just kept growing. Now, what's happened is because of social media and because of the systems we've built around to kind of handle everyone, I'm so busy, it's getting harder and harder. But whenever I have time, before this interview, I pulled this out and I shot 3 quick videos. I'm going to edit them and post them later today. So I try to sneak time in whenever I can.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good way to do it. Are you editing and posting? You're doing all of that?
I edit them all within the apps. There's other apps you can download that are fantastic, that I'm experimenting with and seeing what I like. But I find that when I natively create something in TikTok, first when I make it outside and import it, it tends to do better. I think TikTok favors its own native software. I'm not a software engineer. I could be making this up. I'm just telling you the trends that I'm seeing.
Yep.
I have videos that I know are good videos, put them on TikTok, they get 3,000 views with my 1.7 million followers.
Yeah.
What's that all about? But if I make it native in the app, boom, 50,000, 100,000, it's doing great. So some of these apps do favor stuff that's used their native editing software, and I try to pay attention to that.
Yep.
The only exception is YouTube. YouTube is pretty much indiscriminate. If I make something on TikTok and download it, if I make it on Instagram and download it, YouTube treats them all the same.
Yeah. Good. What about Meta or traditional Facebook advertisements? Are you investing in Facebook ads?
Not at all. One of my good friends, Paige Sparks, and I think you should absolutely have her on the show. She's brilliant. She's a wonderful lawyer. She does very well on Facebook. I do not. I haven't touched it. I kind of just use Facebook to talk to my grandma.
Yeah. Before we started this interview, we were talking a little bit about sort of social media versus SEO or some of the more traditional digital marketing tactics. Why do you feel social media is a more effective technique for marketing a law firm?
Well, so let me be clear about this before we go in. A good marketing plan is well-rounded, and it's not going to put all your eggs in one basket. If you have the resources and expertise, you shouldn't just be 100% social media. You should be distributing across multiple channels. And within social media, that applies too. You shouldn't be 100% TikTok. You shouldn't be 100%. You need to diversify your portfolio, so to speak.
Yep.
So with that guiding light, here's what I have to say. SEO is tough. It's kind of an opaque industry. You don't always know exactly what's going on. You're counting on these industry professionals to say, oh yeah, here's what we're going to do for you, and here's how many clicks are bots, and here's how we eliminate your bots, and here's how we get your ranking, and it takes 4 months, and you got to pay us X amount until then. It's just, I don't like the lack of transparency with SEO. It seems there's a lot of people who swear up and down they're experts in it, and when you ask them for a coherent explanation of where your money is going, you get a bunch of technical jargon. I got turned off to SEO early. I don't do any SEO. I do zero. I don't hire anyone to do it. We don't put any effort into it. Just organically by going viral and being in the news as often as I am and being on TV as often as I am, my rankings are fine just because we're relevant. Our little fire that we started in social media has spread to more traditional forms of media. Right. So that's fine. But if you're not having that and you're early on, I think SEO is a good supplement to a robust social media program. But to me, social media should be your first stop. It's lower barriers to entry. It's cheaper. And you yourself can track your ROI. You can see plainly without any technical training how many views, how many shares, how many likes, how many DMs. You can see those things. With SEO, it's not always clear with the data.
Yep, that's really, really good advice. So let's talk about YouTube. What's your approach? What do you have planned on YouTube, and what's your advice there?
I'm so excited. Let me start with some big controversial opinions about YouTube. It is my opinion that if the new leadership at Twitter doesn't turn things around very quickly, YouTube will replace Twitter. YouTube has an excellent feature called the community tab, which I use as my de facto Twitter account because I have more YouTube followers than Twitter followers, and I find people are a little nicer on YouTube. I don't know why. They're just a little nicer to me there. So I stay there. You can post pictures with captions just like you can on Instagram. You can post tweets or threads just like you can on Reddit or Twitter. YouTube is fast becoming the everything app. What do I like about YouTube besides that? It's got the shorts, you can post stories, and you can post long form content. It becomes a one-stop shop. So since we blew up on Instagram and TikTok, we're still trying to diversify our marketing strategy. So we went to YouTube with the long-term plan of making long form content, but we started off just uploading all of our shorts. And instead of tweeting, I'd put things on the community tab. And we got up to about 96,000 followers that way. Nothing new has been created. I'm just taking the old stuff and putting it in a new market. But here's the plan. The social media has been so successful. It's been so successful that it generates revenue on its own now. I don't pay for most of my marketing. I do boost reels here and there, but overall, my marketing campaign is a profit center in and of itself. And it's gotten so big that we have now created a new company, Attorney Ryan Media LLC, to manage all of that stuff. And through that company, we're actually producing our own show. We built a studio here in San Diego. It's very nice. And we're doing our own show, Working Class with Attorney Ryan. And that's going to be a podcast about people's careers and the journeys they take, with the long-term goal of we actually want to produce a show, like almost a TV show, but on YouTube. So if you stick with the social media thing consistently for a number of years, not months, years, untold things can happen. When I first whipped out the phone saying, oh my God, I need another client because I need to pay rent, I never thought that one day this would turn into its own production company.
That's
But
so cool, Ryan.
you never know where it's going to take you. You just got to be consistent.
It's just really, really cool. So you are, well, first of all, we need to have you back on in a few months so we can talk more about how YouTube, how YouTube's working for you. But it sounds like, as you kind of develop the show and the podcast, you'll be posting longer form content on YouTube, but you're continuing with kind of repurposing the shorts as well.
We'll continue doing that. We're going to stick with short form videos pretty much forever. I don't have any plan to retire that because it works. It's so effective. Let me talk briefly about the overall strategy with social media. There's each app that you use is a tool in your toolbox. The mistake people make is they tie their sort of brand identity to all these and act like they're the same. They're all very different tools. TikTok is how you meet people for the first time. TikTok is how do I meet people who aren't necessarily looking for me and get me on their radar. You're going to find a lot of creators on this show, Kara, myself included, have 200,000, 300,000 Instagram followers, but have millions of TikTok followers. It's because TikTok is really good at that first exposure, but it's not very good at commanding brand loyalty. Those followers are not particularly loyal to you on TikTok. They'll follow you because they found you and they think you're interesting, but your next level is you want loyalty. That's what you do with Instagram. Your Instagram followers tend to be a little stickier than your TikTok followers. There's fewer of them. They're harder to get sometimes because you're not getting that new exposure you get on TikTok, but they're going to see you more often and develop sort of a relationship with you. And then I like YouTube. YouTube is, all right, you found me on TikTok. You followed me on Instagram and got a little more and you really trust me. Well, let me show you what we can really do. Let's do long form. We're not doing 30-second reels. We're not doing 1 minute. Well, let's show you what we can do in 8 to 10 minutes. And at that point, you've achieved complete market domination. A person is not just a potential client, they are a fan. And you've dominated that market. They're not even going to look at another lawyer when they have a problem.
Each platform is a different tool in the toolbox. TikTok, awareness, Instagram, loyalty, and then, kind of filtering them almost through, the funnel, right? And then on YouTube, here's who I really am. Here's how we can really help you.
And there's another thing YouTube does. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but this is that next level here is your marketing plan has the potential to become a profit center for you. Too many lawyers see marketing as, I need to spend 20%, 30% of our profits on marketing, or I need to have this big marketing budget. You can do that. Or if you're patient with it and let it slow burn, like what we've been doing, it becomes a profit center.
That's incredible. Incredible. Ryan, I'm interested. Are you using AI at all in the practice, either for marketing or for your daily work?
We've played with it a bit. We're still experimenting with how we want to use it. I'm using it more, not using it now, but we're interested in using it for just some routine stuff like, hey, how can it supplement our discovery practices, the routine stuff? And we're experimenting. I'm not currently using AI, but I'm interested. I like it for a couple of things. I think ChatGPT is very useful for helping you develop content ideas. If you get a good prompt engineer on your team, and it just so happens the executive producer at Attorney Ryan Media is pretty good with ChatGPT, he's starting to experiment just putting in prompts and having it spit out content ideas. Videos about this, videos about that, ways to confront your boss or mitigate conflict at work. And we're experimenting with it. We should probably talk in a few months once I've had a chance to figure it out. But answer your question, no, not yet, but we're exploring.
Yeah, that's good. So before we wrap up, Ryan, I always like to ask if a lawyer watching has time to adopt one, maybe two of your tips, what would you recommend?
That's a great question. So I'm going to try to keep this as limited as possible. Go on TikTok first. It's still a viable platform. I don't know how long it's going to be viable for, not trying to get into one side of the political spectrum or the other. It's my prediction that in 3 to 4 years, TikTok as we know it will not exist. So, but it exists today, and there is no better lead gen tool for brand new people who don't know you exist than TikTok. It is the best at getting that initial exposure. Get on your phone. Don't worry about what other people are going to think about you. Don't worry about what people say about you. Don't worry about wearing the best suit, having the best makeup, having the best lighting. Just point your phone at your face and start talking. Here's the problem. Here's the law about your problem. Here's a way to help with your problem. Don't open up with, hi, I'm Ryan Stygar. I'm an employment lawyer in San Diego, California. You can find me at it. Just get to the point. Yeah. Did your boss deny you lunch when you asked for it? The law says you're entitled to that lunch, and here's what you do. That's all you got to do. They see your username in the handle. They see your link in the bio. They know how to reach you if they like what you're saying. Just get to the point. So if I was going to tell a lawyer one thing to do, put away the fancy cameras, put away the fancy suits, put this in front of your face and just go. Just go. Say the problem, say the solution, and do that 3 to 4 times a day, every day for 1 to 2 months, and look at the results. You're going to like what you see. And you didn't spend anything doing it. In terms of your production, quantity over quality. I'm not saying the quality of your legal opinions or your content needs to be poor. I'm saying better a fuzzy video that we're seeing a lot that has useful information than crisp, clean, perfect videos we see once every other day. And it's just the same old, can you flip off a cop? Is it legal to drive with the light on? Like, that's cute. It goes viral, but it doesn't establish expertise in any way.
Yep. Establish that authority, that expertise. You have these answers inside of you already. Let people hear from you. Get on TikTok, start shooting, just do it. Work on quantity and volume. I love
it. And when
it.
in doubt, talk about a prior case. Obviously, change names and details. All of my case stories I tell, I change enough details so that no one, not even the client, could know I was talking about their fact pattern. But that's those situation-based stories do very, very well.
Yes,
and it's great because we can say, here is the law, here is the statute, but a story really teaches in ways that a description can't.
Yep. It teaches and it entertains, quite frankly, right? People are always interested in a good legal story. I love it. Ryan, thank you so much. You were incredibly generous with your insight and your time. It was a lot of fun learning from you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Karen.
Ryan gave us a lot today. Here are the key takeaways I see. Number 1, addressing prospects' problems is key. Production quality, smooth delivery, background, even lighting count for little. What really matters is providing assistance with an issue faced by multiple people. Ryan's formula is simple. Here's the problem. Here's the law about your problem. Here's a way to help with your problem. Simple. Number 2, his second topic category is past cases. Ryan explains all of his case stories, but for confidentiality, changes details. This approach works for 2 reasons. 1, everyone loves a good story, especially when it ends with justice being served, right? But 2, prospects with similar fact patterns will want to work with you because of your related experience. Number 3, equally important is regular posting. To grow, you need to post at least 4 to 5 times every week, week over week over week. Ryan advises those starting out to post several times a day for the first few months. He posted 2 to 3 times a day when beginning. Number 4, you don't need to create different content for each platform. Ryan posts the same videos on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. He sometimes varies the editing app he uses. If you recall, he said that because he believes Instagram and TikTok, their algorithms favor their own editors. I've heard varying opinions on that question from other past guests, but bottom line, it's a little extra work to add a new social media platform. Lastly, number 5, having a social presence opens referral partner doors. Ryan seeks out creators when looking for out-of-state referral partners because their videos provide insight into the lawyers who will be handling his referrals. It allows him to kind of build that trust before he ever reaches out to his referral partners. How passionate are they about their field? How knowledgeable? How articulate? I've heard several of my past guests now share leads, which makes sense for both of them, right? Because they can receive as well as refer cases when working with another social marketer. I hope Ryan's tips have been helpful. Next week, you got to tune in. Next week's interview is with a Florida injury solo focused on maximizing his take-home pay from a reasonable work week and using social media to help attain his new business and compensation goals. See you back here next week. Have a good one. Thanks for coming. Take care. Bye.